Let's take a look at the technique of shooting line on the final back cast in order to make a more powerful delivery with no more effort from your rod arm. Here I'm using a shooting head. That's going to allow you to easily distinguish the head section from the running line. Also, the compact weight of the shooting head will make the very abrupt load on the delivery stroke more obvious. I'm going to make 3 back casts. On the third and final back cast, I'm going to shoot several feet of line. As the head of the fly line straightens behind me, I'm going to trap the running line with my line hand. Here you can see the color change from blue to orange. Blue signifies the end of the head section, while orange marks the beginning of the running line. The amount of running line you maintain between the rod tip and the head section is referred to as overhang. You can see here the head of the fly line is only a couple of feet outside the rod tip. In any casting sequence, you'll maintain a maximum of only 2 or 3 feet of overhang, with the exception of the final back cast. You want to maintain tight loops throughout the entire casting sequence. The shooting head is only 20 feet long, so it doesn't require a very long casting stroke or haul to keep it airborne. Now here's the shoot. Shooting line sets the head of the fly line in motion. The head of the fly line takes on momentum. For our purposes, momentum translates to weight. It's as if you're making the head of the fly line heavier. When you shoot line on the final back cast and then trap the running line just as the back cast straightens, the momentum of the backward shooting fly line pulls the rod into a very abrupt bend. That is, the rod is preloaded for the delivery stroke. You can see here that the running line is extended several more feet. If you were to try to false cast with this much running line outside the rod tip, the cast would collapse. You can only get away with this much overhang on the final back cast. Watch what happens to the rod tip when I trap the running line and the head of the fly line straightens behind me. Here the rod tip is pulled into a very sudden load. The rod is now loaded deeper at this point in the stroke than it would have been if I hadn't shot line. When I feel this tug, I pull into it with the forward stroke. If you can maintain the integrity of the loop, you'll execute a more powerful delivery with no more effort from your rod arm. Here's the 50-foot mark on my fly line. When I've made a cast and this mark is 2 feet outside the rod tip, assuming I'm using a 9-foot rod and a 9-foot leader, I know I've made a cast that's 70 feet long. Let's watch this again, beginning with the final back cast. There's the shoot, the trap, the sudden load, and the more powerful delivery with very little effort. Here we have not the exact same cast, but the same technique shot from a greater distance so you can see more of the casting sequence. Here's the chute. And here you can see the extended overhang. This is not a beginner's technique. To pull it off, your timing has to be precise and your fundamentals have to be solid. This is certainly a technique you could use to make your longest cast, but probably more important, this is a technique I use to make my working long cast of 70 feet with minimal effort.